Om Namah Shivaya. How you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a good day. Hope you're smiling. Hope your joy and peace are dripping from your lips. Hollowbone Hawk, what a pleasure. Big love. The Star, absolutely lovely to see you all. And Howard, big love, dear Howard. I hope you're well. And every day, big blessings. And Systematic Zoo. Ooh, I didn't know that the zoo was operating today. I thought the zoo was out for business. Is the zoo closed for business? Are the animals free, or are the animals in cages? There's a metaphor for the zoo to digest. Anyway, big love to all of you. Hope you're well. Hope you're thriving in your own way, doing better than just merely surviving. Because life is so short. It's as short as a YouTube short. In fact, sometimes you think it's even shorter than a YouTube short. So, I think it's very important for us to get a grip in life. And this was Jeremy's idea to talk about the spiritual weaponry. And I thought it was a pretty cool conversation, to be honest. Whoa, I'm sorry, my darling. He's been a little bit edgy and jumpy of late. Actually, what happened was he sent me this cool little video. One of them he posted in the group. Another video he sent to me of Jeremy's quite into his camo gear and his rifles, and he gets quite kitted out. Seriously, if you looked at the dude, you'd think like this is some special forces dude. So he sent me this video of him in the woods shooting with his rifle, and I think it's what's an AR-15 or whatever it is. I'm not that gun clued, but it looks like an AR-15 to my eyes. And I wonder, is that what the military issues? Anyway. So there he is, TallTree. Big love. Welcome to your brother. How are you doing today? And
good.
It's an honor to have you. I was just telling people about your little videos where you're in your camo with your rifle. You even got a silencer. I'm impressed with your gear, dude.
It's
you
a
look
new
like
addition.
An assassin, dude.
Yeah, I was just I was testing out all my gear yesterday at my neighbor's place. He's got property, like it's just like across the street from me. There's like a big ridge. It's literally like the first ridge of the Appalachian Mountains. So I was running up and down that. It's a lot of fun. And testing out some of the camouflage patterns I've collected, just to kind of see, what works. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm sorry, my throat's a little weird.
That seems to be a bit of a thing. My throat was feeling a bit strange. I thought it was because I'd been cheekily eating a bit of cheese. I don't often eat a lot of dairy, so I thought that is that the dairy talking to me? I mean, I can digest dairy. I used to eat a lot of dairy. I'm Irish, for God's sake, right?
Okay.
Irish and Welsh, and other part of me is Dutch, right? So those are all the genetics of people. I can actually digest the dairy. A lot of people can't, huh? Like 80-90% of people can't digest dairy.
I can digest
they don't have
dairy.
the enzymes.
I eat a lot of cottage cheese, and I was drinking a lot of whole milk for a little while, but I went down to like 2%. And I don't really drink a lot of milk right now. I don't know, like I just listened to my body, and for a while there it was like, I need milk. I was like, all right, relax,
dude. I just grind up cashew nuts. It becomes creamy as milk. Oh, it's so good. So yeah, and it's so good. and it's so cost effective. Makes you wonder how these people are cheating us, you know, where they sell everything for such high amounts, where you could, like, the nuts and the seeds are the richest form of nutrition in nature, right? Pretty much. Nuts and seeds, they are like, you know, they contain the biggest whack for your buck, as it were. You can have a handful
I
of
think it's
nuts and that can
sunflower
sustain you.
seeds that have the most protein. Sunflower seeds. I think it's sunflower seeds.
I
Let me double check.
didn't know about protein. I mean, even hemp seeds have got a share of protein. But yeah, so let's get to it. Welcome, everybody. Hope you guys are good. We're going to be talking about psychic and spiritual weapons and the psychic wars. And I think this is a really important discussion. And we're not going to be clickbaiting it. We're actually going to be trying to approach the topic from a grounded perspective. And I thought we could land somewhere between the metaphor and the physicality of things, and maybe start with the obvious. So we've got essentially 7 baseline weapons, but we've got a whole range. We've got a big arsenal, sort of like you've got surface to air, right? Ground to ground. You got big bombs. You got like hand arms. You got rifles. You got snipers. You got submachine. You got ordnance, small ordnance, large ordnance. You got a fairly big range, and I suppose as metaphors go, these are all quite relevant. Probably best place to start is the root of the tree. Analysis. The anal eyes are a powerful weapon. What do you think about the anal eyes as a weapon? Because the eyes that see through the anal is how we are able to break things down. So if something happens, for example, our own behavior, because when we're talking about psychic wars, we got to understand that we're not out there fighting a psychic war with someone else. We're fighting a psychic war in here with ourselves. And we are the enemy, and we are the force. So it's a very sort of like anything you do in life. You know, if you're ever really truly competing, you're competing against yourself. And so on the inner planes, we are the enemy. For example, people speak to me and say, "Oh, I'm scared of spirits. I'm scared of entities." And they say, "Why aren't you scared?" Because like I'll come to people's homes and they freaked out. They can't be in their homes because they got entities. I'd be like, "Okay, leave me in your home through the middle of the night." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "I want to be alone in your home. I want to turn off the lights. I want to enjoy your home in the darkness." They go like, "But aren't you scared?" What's it to be scared of? Yeah, but this entity does things. I'm like, he can only use my power. He or she can only use my power, only if I allow it. So telekinesis can only happen through me. If there's telekinesis happening, it's my innate telekinesis being used to move objects. If that thing wants to throw furniture around, it's me throwing that furniture around. And the moment you recognize and realize this, then you go, okay, so the real war is inside me, right? And once you obtain that personal sense of responsibility and power, then any external entity is under your domain anyway, because that's how it works. Personal power. So to begin with, analysis. We can analyze ourselves. We can analyze situations. We can analyze our emotions. We can analyze our behavior. It becomes a very important and powerful spiritual weapon that is often abused. What are your thoughts, dear brother?
Sorry, I was trying to connect to the YouTube chat so I could say hello to all the people. There we go. All right.
Are you on the phone?
No.
Can I?
Hello.
Are you on a laptop?
Yeah.
If you go to the StreamYard thing, if you go to the StreamYard and you look on the right side, isn't there a chat on the right side there?
Yeah, but it wants me to do some stuff with like Google and attach the YouTube. It's okay. I found the YouTube chat. Sorry guys, that was boring. Well, I never thought about it the way that you were just talking about with the fact that it's your personal it's your personal energy that's causing the disturbances. I mean, that kind of just goes against uh uh everything you hear about like hauntings, where it's like, oh, there's a certain place that's haunted. Um, so
It doesn't though.
okay, like going to like a
The entity
graveyard
is
or
there.
seeing.
The
Okay.
entity is there, but it only haunts when there's somebody to be haunted.
Mm, okay.
When there's nobody there, in other words, there may be an entity present in a space, but it
Yeah.
needs something to feed off of, like a
Okay.
fire. The fire can burn anywhere. The fire potential is at a furnace, for example,
Yeah.
fireplace, but you need to put the wood in there for the fire to burn.
Gotcha. Well, I guess I mean, this kind of reminds me of what you were talking about um in our video series, where you would like go to a place and kind of like energetically clean it up and make it a little more habitable. uh by I don't know, maybe just kind of like you know telling the spirits that they can relax or whatever. um but I think that the way that a place may, you know be get haunted is in an infusion of energy. Maybe if it's a negative haunting, of negative energy into a space, but it comes from like the living beings there, the people there. If there's a lot of uh fighting or abuse or even even killing. I think we talked about how some places on the planet are just kind of messed up because there's been so much death and dying, tragic death and dying in one place, or certain beings even have died in certain places, and it just carries you know it carries like a resonance. And in the land has yet to be healed.
Yeah. That's it's let me describe it like a
Yeah.
magical weapon. So imagine you're a warrior and it's like the old days. The old days because it's more real. Like you could be sitting with a rifle a mile away or 500 yards away and some bloke just pops his clogs. He didn't see you. He didn't see your weapon. He's like thinking, no one could see me. I'm invisible. Boom. End of that story. Right. So
Yeah.
that doesn't really count. But in a situation where it's melee and it's a sword,
Hmm.
and this warrior starts getting a reputation as being a fearsome warrior. It's like there's a war charge coming, and you know that king's championing is Sir Lancelot, hypothetically, and he comes at you with his weapon, right? And you know, oh my gosh, this is Sir Lancelot, and his weapon's got a name. He's named his weapon, I don't know, Bloodletter, whatever. And you know, like, oh my gosh, that thing in his hand's gonna end my life. And in that moment of before that thing in his hand does that, there's fear. And that fear is charging that weapon with the human being's fear going into the weapon. And that
Yeah.
is being crystallized by the blood. That weapon will become magical
Hmm.
and powerful. And one day, when Sir Lancelot no longer exists, warriors will be looking for that sword, because that sword will have a heritage, and the one who can hold that and bear that sword will bear the legacy of that sword, and all those that came and passed away to that sword, and that sword will have a reputation of fear in the group mind, and so everybody will respect and fear that sword, and that sword will become an emblem of power. Just as an example, now this is how a magical item can be created, like or magical weapon. And in the same way, a space does that. Like if there's something that happens and it's a bad thing that happens in the same place, because there happen to be some echoes or resonances of bad occurrences in that place, and it's repeating like a cycle, then people will be getting to add their fear to that place, right? That's a haunted house. So and so passed away there, but actually 50 years ago, a whole family passed away there, and back in that time, that happened there. Now the house has become like a legend, and everybody reverently fears that house. All of that fear is their astral substance leaving their body, charging the house with substance. So that charge then does carry a certain charge around that building, but that charge isn't enough to create a reaction. But when you enter into that building, that charge of fear puts you into a fear state. Now you're in a fear state. Now that entity can control you. And so this is when the haunting starts. That's why you'll generally find that when there's a haunting, not everybody's usually being haunted at once. It can happen. Usually there's a victim, right? There's a family in a home, and so is being haunted. And once that victim's been, it's like it latches on person by person until it's like run its circumstances through everybody. And so yeah, you know, there is a space that gets haunted. There is these physical realities, though the actual power to create change cannot be done unless you have a route into this world. And why do those beings want to haunt people? This is the question to ask. What is in it for them? Because that's their way into this world. No matter what power they can manifest or hold within their own sphere, to bring that power into this world, they need a root, like a tree needs a root in order to be able to grow in this world. And the human being becomes the root, or an animal.
Yeah, this is the place to be. If you haven't if you didn't get enough, you know, if you didn't get enough sensation. So like okay, so you know, what you were talking about with the actual physical weapons makes perfect sense to me, because if the you know if the owner of the weapon, you know, the user of the blade, you know, imbues, you know, his energy into it, you know, and then uses it, and of course, like, you know, feeding something blood is powerful, right? And there's a lot of things that are attracted to blood, and of course, there's a lot of things attracted to human blood, which is like, you know, the pinnacle. And then yeah, you're using that, you're feeding that blade the blood of victims who are afraid of it, you know, as you're cutting through them. And then you have basically you know, a demon in your hand that you use to go to battle with. um and then you know, eventually that ends up in the, you know, Smithsonian, which, you know, sometimes I think it's a shame that certain things are locked behind glass, but maybe it's a good thing that you don't just get to touch whatever you want, because maybe there's you shouldn't touch that thing. It's not so good because you're not uh capable of handling its power, right? Um, but as far as so I wanted to go back to the haunting thing real quick, and in the general concept of healing the land. What's what what are some techniques that can be used to you know to calm a place down, and just make it habitable again.
Well, the first is the obvious, because usually there is, okay, usually the liver and the kidneys are being attacked, as well
Okay.
as yeah. So when the liver is being attacked, you become angry.
Hmm.
So when they're trying to drain the chi from your liver, literally, you become angry. When
Hmm.
they're trying to drain the chi from your kidneys, you become afraid.
Hmm.
Those are usually the
Chi.
two, but those are, yeah, your life essence.
Gotcha.
And this chi that they drain is what they can use
Hmm. So they're
to
extracting
affect.
it from you. They're like
Yeah,
stimulating it and then extracting it.
exactly. And that
Gotcha.
is the energy that they use. And there was this nimbu. Nimbu means lemon. There's a sour lemon in the group, people. Watch out for the lemon. There's a lemon in the space, and the lemon's a bit of a Nimrod. Hello, dear
Here,
cat. How
guy,
are you?
calm down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, this possession thing, it happens to a lot of people.
Hmm.
And like a prime example of it is like the emotional outburst we just saw in the chat, for example. And it's probably a really good place, a good
The
example
chat.
to highlight. This Nimbu person was like getting like quite like aggressive and speaking in like really, and I had to ask him to tone it down a bit,
Oh, I
swearing and
missed it.
getting angry and citing Jesus and stuff, which is fine, like everybody's got to have their beliefs, and I have place for people having beliefs. It's all good, but like he's like,
Jesus and it's like Jesus and Spurging out. Find each other. Welcome bedfellows. Quite
yes,
a
it's a
few times.
problem. Yeah, it's a real problem, and it shows
Tell
how
me
much
about it.
mental illness there's being pushed by so-called spiritual leaders that have been brainwashing people. But this is really what we're talking about: is this energetic sort of resonance of draining your energy center. And
Yeah.
so now, how to work with this? The first point is analysis.
Analysis. Okay.
Analyze yourself. Analyze
Yep.
your own emotional body. Observe it and separate yourself from it and become objective. This is what analysis does.
In the moment to
Yes.
moment, because
Yes.
because it's subtle and it's sneaky. You'll all of a sudden you'll be in a state and you'll be like, I don't even know what like why I'm feeling this, but I'm feeling this and I'm gonna go with it.
That's the Mars in you, Jeremy. I've
The
also got
what?
a bit of that's the Mars in you.
Oh,
Mars, the Mars somewhere in your horoscope. My
yeah,
Mars
I
is in
bet.
conjunction with my moon, so I can get extremely angry if I get angry. So I've really got to keep a grip. Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see
like
you angry.
yeah, if
I
I
can
lose it,
tell.
I lose it. But I don't lose it. But like if I
Here's some
lose it, I
cashews.
lose
Here's some honey. Calm down.
it. But so that's why I make a point of not losing it. And,
Cool.
and so we've got to analyze ourselves, and we've got to know our weaknesses and our strengths, and like be honest with ourselves about this is a weakness. And so the analysis is the first step. Then the second step is the discrimination. Now that's a word that's thrown around like a swear word, and I like what you were saying, Howard, about AI being a form of of this, an entity that possesses a space and possesses consciousness. It's quite a point. We'll get back to that.
A conduit, a good conduit.
Well, it can be a conduit either way. I mean, lately, a lot of the AI experts that have come forward are saying that it's potentially, there's a 10 to 20% chance that it could end humanity. That's like the biggest danger, the existential threat that we've ever faced, because and these are the experts that created AI that are saying
Yeah,
this, not
yeah,
just people like us. These are
yeah.
like you're a military man. When you speak about guns, you know what you're talking about.
I mean,
I
are
don't.
they talking about are they talking about ending us by taking over our minds or taking over infrastructure?
Taking over infrastructure.
See, there's an issue with that. And the issue with that is literally thermodynamics. Like
Yeah.
the amount of power. So I know this is like a tangent real quick, but I want to put it out there in our space here. There's this popular concept of the singularity where at some point the AI will self actualize and become its own thing and run away and really go hard on the paperclip problem and wipe humanity out. And I think that there's the amount of computation it would take in order for it to do that would require a source of energy that may possibly just be beyond um what is currently available to us now, which is like nuclear energy. They would have to the world controllers would have to um use some sort of cold fusion or something like
In
that's not
space.
out there yet. What's that?
In space.
In
They would have
space?
to do what Elon Musk is doing. Elon Musk is moving it into off-world
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
in order, because the heat generation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the heat generation is the problem. So if you're
Yeah.
creating all this extreme heat out there,
Right.
you've got
Maybe.
your temperature
Is there space?
regulation.
Is there space? Is there really space?
Well, space or not space, but at extremely high altitudes,
Yeah.
the temperature is very low.
Yeah, we'll see. But just to get back to, to bring it all back, uh yes, AI. There's something about AI which it's obvious that it will worm its way into your psyche, uh, and you will allow it in. And uh, the dark, the dark side is a constant. The dark side is like a wet blanket, constantly, constantly seeking. It's a wet blanket of penetrative, caustic oil trying to make its way in, to your system at all times, right? And so, just be careful. Anyways, go ahead.
So yeah, but like I'll get to that maybe a little later as well. So the discrimination is the second point. Now discrimination has been thrown around like a dirty rag, right? When I say the word discrimination, people think racism, but that's not really what discrimination is. That is an outward manifestation of discrimination. Discrimination is actually an internal process, and it's an important process. Discriminating against harm. So your sense of taste is the sense of discrimination. You put something in your mouth, it's rotten and it's poisonous. Spit it out. Or it's sweet and it's honey and it's fruit. Eat it and swallow it. That discrimination is the decision between being alive and not being alive. What you eat. So what you eat, what you learn, what you believe, what you know, discrimination is the key. But that discrimination can also be directed towards a self. So First, to analyze what's going on. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's what's going on. Now, discriminate. Is A healthy? Is B healthy? Is C toxic? Is E? Separate the wheat from the chaff. Discrimination. Then the will. Once you've exercised the act of analyzing, and then the act of discriminating, checking your desires, because the desires and the discrimination, the discrimination will uncover the desires. The analysis will uncover the patterns and the cycles. And then the will needs to be aligned. And with the alignment of the will is a decision, right? Choice. That needs to be an intention that is bound and strong. That intention then needs to be carried with the will. And the imagination becomes the vehicle through which the will is emanating. So the imagination, to imagine how we want to behave, right? Rather than, okay, I'm doing this is not healthy. What would I imagine be a better way to behave? Now align the will with that imagination, right? And within that will and the imagination emanates from the memory. There will be some point in my life where I've dealt with a similar situation, right? And when I've dealt with that situation, there will be lore or experience from which I can tap my own wisdom and my understanding, wisdom and understanding that I've learned from. And so this then becomes an integrating force. And then the will is aligning. Then once you align yourself with these currents of energy, you are now pushing out an imprint. Now, there will be a psychic war because this imprint will be trying to put an imprint of X onto you, and you'll be going, no, I'm imprinting Y, right? And so that battle of will becomes the key. And then we want to align our passion and our desires with the outcome that we've imagined. And the imagined outcome is to overcome this wave of feeling that's trying to push me in this direction. And once you get to that point, then you can start to communicate because now you're in a state of polarity. You're polarizing yourself. And in that polarity, there's telepathy, and there's the potential to communicate with the intelligences. And at that point, the intelligences will show you things. This happened, that happened, this is going on, this is that, this is what's... And in those experiences, the key then becomes compassion. But the compassion isn't like, oh, I feel sorry for you. Oh, this is bad. That's not compassion. That is empathy being employed in a I feel sorry for you manner. True compassion is when we take all of our passions and all of our emotions into a composite whole, and we put it into a ball, and we allow the will to impregnate that with higher potential, as in like, well, what's best? In other words, not being drawn to judge something, but not being drawn not to judge. People think that compassion is, judging positively. No, compassion is not judging at all. It's just experiencing the whole of the thing and just observing it without being in a, oh, you're right or you're wrong, right? You're right to feel that way or you're wrong. There's no right or wrong. It's just the greater good. The greater good is that emotion is destructive, but I'm going to ride with this emotion.
You made me just think of something, which is I can't say necessarily if I've experienced it directly. I might have had, but I've definitely conceptualized the idea and read about it, where people will encounter people that are much more spiritually evolved, and they feel they'll feel like this kind of like a range of emotions around these people. Of maybe they'll feel like intense love that they've never felt before, and they'll cry, or they'll feel just completely like worthless, and unworthy, and they'll cry, or maybe they'll even feel like fear, right? And what I think about is that like these these spiritually elevated people are 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 practicing what you're saying about compassion, where they'll be seeing this other person as a whole, you know, as that complete um thing, and they'll see all of it, right? And they're not judging. They're like accepting it, and that can be that acceptance can be extremely difficult for people to experience, because there's there's parts of them they know that they haven't accepted about themselves, that they don't believe anybody else could accept, and they're afraid of that being looked at. But now that's being seen through, and they're accepted nonetheless. And that's just like this, like, you know um but then the greatest act of compassion for that higher that higher spiritual being is to help guide that other being, uh into help guide them to lift them up as well, you know
Yeah, that's really well put, and that's exactly the goal, is to experience the totality of that intelligence, that living presence that's creating all of that disharmony. And in that experience, one is able to disconnect that from the space, and that being gains some kind of benefit from the experience. And the fact that the fear, so fear is an interesting thing. Usually there's fear related, and the fear builds up like a thing. And it's like, there's a story about Shiva going to this dark lake by the Mount Kailash. There's two lakes. The one lake is a living lake, the one lake is a not living lake. It's toxic. And the story goes
Is
that
this for
Shiva
real?
came to, yeah,
Huh.
Mount Kailash.
Okay.
Now the
No, no,
story, the ancient
I meant
story,
sorry. I know Mount Kailash. I'm a little obsessed with it. Is real, but are the two lakes there too?
yes,
Okay.
yes. What are they called? Let me try and find information while I talk to you. So anyway, Shiva went to these two lakes, and he drank from the one, and basically transmuted all the poison. And in the process of drinking that, he sucked all the poison out of the lake, and he purified that lake. And this is, I think, the story that we're talking about here has got to do with the fundamental compassion of the spirit, and how so the two lakes are Lake Manas Rovar and Rakshastal. So Manas Rovar is the living lake, and the Rakshastal is the lake. Raksha means, like, basically, you want to decode it, it's like demon, demon lake. So they're both like high elevation of 4,590 meters high. And Raksha Tal, the lake of the demon. It's a saline lake located in the west west of Manasrovar. There's a crescent-shaped lake that is poisonous, and so these are actual lakes. But so the story was that Shiva went and drank the poison of Manashwar lake, and the lake became alive. And that was an expression of dynamic compassion. And so this is essentially what you're doing. You're draining the fear, that the fear sticks to the place, right? Because of who's been harmed in the past, their fear has stuck to the place. So if you create fear in a space and you go back to that space and create fear in that space and fear and fear and fear, then that fear will stick to that place. But somebody who's a siphon can come and siphon all of that fear off the place and transmute that fear and run it through them and drain the fear from the place, freeing that being, because that being, because of that fear, becomes crucified to that space and is unable to move on, if that makes sense, or with their own natural spiritual evolution, whatever that is, whatever form that takes. So that fear of the human binds that consciousness, that living consciousness, to that space, producing a tether. And that tether then causes that being's only form of sustenance, of any form of change or growth, can come through the people that come in contact with that space. This is how space has become haunted. And to understand that fundamental process is to realize all one has to do is to go and drain the fear from the space. And once one has drained the fear from the space, one can then commune with the intelligence face to face. And this communing of the intelligence might come in the form of visions of things that have happened in the past there in the space. And there might be an impulse to want to judge, like, oh, that was horrible. How dare they have done that? And you know? And some living intelligence came across this circumstance and said, that's like wrong. And then they got bound up in a field of judgment and anger. And so that would stimulate people's livers when they came there, for example, or there would be intense fear, right? That would stimulate people's kidneys. And so that's why these two energy points are usually drained in this way, where the interesting point is, like, we're talking about the element of water and the element of wood, right? When we're talking about wood is sort of an element of air that can carry water. So wood carries water but feeds fire, if that makes sense. So these two chi elements are what are usually being drained around these kind of places.
Is there something, so when is there something to the kidneys about when you get, or maybe it's the liver? Well, it's like, you know, when you drink alcohol, not you, but people drink alcohol and they don't feel fear, like, you know, they get confidence. Should you be drinking when you go into these haunted places so you can, you know, focus a little better? You know.
There's a reason they call it spirits.
Yeah, right.
Look, should you not?
That was a joke. It was a joke.
Well, it's quite a relevant one though. Okay. Here's the problem with alcohol and spirits.
Yeah.
By the way, heads up, there's a premiere coming in 7 hours and 10 minutes. I interviewed a medium psychic, so you can come and listen to that interview.
Yeah, no, I would love to.
7 hours and 10 minutes.
Okay.
An Irish medium. So anyway, So
Like
check it out.
Irish, like they're speaking with an accent.
Irish, proper
Oh my gosh,
Irish.
I will be there. I love the Irish accent.
Yeah, yeah. The Irish accents are pretty cool, aren't they? Like they're one of the cooler accents out there in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so yeah, this whole principle of this energy, and I sort of, my stream of thought just went sideways for a moment. But your point that you made was about, let me retrace the steps, was about how alcohol and spirits can give you Dutch courage, right?
Yeah.
And the problem with spirits, and the reason I mentioned that is because I actually mentioned spirits in the interview with her,
Okay.
that spirits, alcohol takes you out of your body and into your body, and out of your body and into your body, and out of your body. And when it's taking you out of your body and into your body fast enough, it produces and it's a circular motion. I want you to understand: into the body, out of the body, into the body, out of the body. So your consciousness is rotating in and out of the body. If you drink enough alcohol, you feel dizzy. The reason you feel dizzy is because you're spinning into your body and spinning out of your body, spinning in and spinning out. So that's something to consider. That dizziness is a prelude to possession. Why? Because you're being pulled out of your body, there's a way in.
Mm.
You're being pushed into your body, there's a way in. And if you're being pulled out and pushed in so fast as a pattern, you might not notice something latching onto you.
Mm.
So that's the problem with using alcohol. But people have used alcohol for these things in the past.
Mm.
I just personally wouldn't recommend it, just from my personal experiences, but maybe some people, I don't know. I
Everybody's
can't
different.
appoint. Yeah, who knows?
Every medium
But
is
there would
different.
be dangers associated, I think, because of the
Yeah,
alcohol.
for sure. Hey, I want to go back to the wood carries water, feeds fire thing. Because you reminded me of this thing that I heard. Basically about like where do trees actually come from? Look, like you got the seed. Excuse me. You got the seed, put it in the soil, right? Add water, sunlight, and time. Eventually becomes, 300-foot tree, right? Uh, but I read, I haven't, I didn't, I just heard this. Um, I didn't look into it too deeply, but a guy someone did an experiment where they took a pot and some soil, they weighed the soil, planted a tree or a plant. I think it was a tree. Let's just go with the tree. Planted the tree, watered it, it grew to a certain, height, and then he pulled it out and he shook off all the soil that he could, and he weighed the soil, and it was basically the same as when he started, the amount of soil. So he's like, well, if if I basically had the same amount of soil, but now there's this tree, where the heck did the tree come from? You know? And he was like, well, it must have come from the air. So you reminded me of when you said that the wood carries the water and feeds the fire. Uh, which is interesting because like obviously there's water in the air, right? There's moisture in the air, and you need the air. The air of the gas of something is what causes the fire. Like wood, pyrolyzes, it off gases, and then that's what burns, right? With gasoline, it's the fumes of the gasoline that burn. It's not like the liquid, right? So so uh how would the your wooden wizard staff, right, uh assist you in this confrontation of fear, as you are attempting to heal a space?
It's a good question. Well, the staff represents your staff,
Okay.
represents your phallus, represents your masculine force. So there's a representative relationship with deep forces in the psyche through this. And as a physical emanation, you're right. It's the carbon that's been taken out of the air when it takes in CO2 that produces the mass. It's essentially the carbon. And that carbon is built onto by minerals, but the mineral content is very low. And that mineral content is also constantly being fed, right, by surrounding groundwater, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it would be an indeterminable amount of minerals used for a tree if you could pull out the tree, if that makes sense, if it was small enough to be pulled out. Maybe there would be a difference in mass with a massive tree, like you said, a 300-foot tree. I think
Right.
there'd be enough minerals taken out to weigh it. But so the tree then acts as a conduit. Now, wood is a very interesting material because wood is a buffer. It's a buffer to psychic force. That's why people touch wood, right? Because it resists psychic force. That's why in a seance, it's the wood that the spiritual force would knock against, because the wood is resisting the spiritual forces. So if there is an entity around, you'll hear the knocking on the wood. And that's a very common thing. Like if you've ever heard entities, the knocking on the wood is a typical sign that, okay, something's going on here. That's psychic force trying to connect with your psyche, trying to channel psychic energy into your force, creating a resonance. And that resonance is being reflected by the wood because the wood is reflecting. So wood resists. And I'll give you a classic example. Look what happens when electricity gets to wood. Lightning. The lightning can't ground itself easily. It can't travel through wood because the wood is resisting it, right? Even though the wood has within it metallic compounds. It's got iron and salts in it, right? So there is a certain, the elements of conductivity are within the wood. However, the wood would force the electricity to turn into fire, right? And heat. So the electrical potential would thus be lost to the friction against the wood. So by the time that electrical thing has traveled through the tree, much of the electricity has been nullified. Does that make sense? So it resists the electrical field, the electromagnetic field. And this is that our thoughts and consciousness is being conducted through this electromagnetic field. So the wood is a resistor. And because it's a resistor, maybe resistor isn't the right word, but, well, if you're creating a, what do you call those things that amplifies electricity? You put it layers of wood. You know what I'm talking about? The thing that steps up electricity.
You're talking about like a transistor or something like that, like
that will step
a
up.
capacitor, a capacitor.
Yes, a capacitor.
Yeah.
Capacitor will have layers of wood and metals in capacitors. This might be a way to let's try and get this on here. So it might be able to give like an explanation of what I'm trying to say here. So the capacitors are built by alternating layers of conductive metal plates, electrodes, and insulating material that's dielectric.
Okay.
So they don't use wood in the modern ones, but they used to use wood. So but it's conceptually they will use like paper and materials that are based upon the organic material, right? And wood is a compact organic material. The
Yeah.
reason they don't use wood is because wood would also catch fire
Right.
potentially, or could. But they will have materials that are mimicking this thing of wood, and so this organic nature acts as a as a um, as a it binds it, yeah, it binds the, let's see if I can get Google to give us some information. Wood, let's try and get this on the screen. It'll take me a second. So the cellulase, the lignin, and the other non-metallic substances that do not have free electrons resist the electrical potential. And it's also got a high moisture content. That's the other thing, right? So wood has got the moisture and it carries the water through it. So the xylophlone carries the water, and the xylophlone and the xylem, right? It's how the wood drinks and gets its minerals from the earth. And this gets absorbed through a network into the wood. Like, think of it as like a vein system.
Yeah.
So that moves water throughout the tree. So the tree has this network through which water can travel, and air travels through it too. So it's a conjunction of elements, and the wood was born through fire. It was born of fire. It drew its substance from the earth, and it carries water and air.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all four elements in one thing. And it literally draws itself out of carbon from the air element. And that carbon is like the base root of the substance. So wood is like a really powerful magical item because of these properties.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take one more layer to that. The consciousness of the living tree
Yeah.
that left its consciousness imprint on its body. It's like the bones of a tree. So you're tapping into that tree consciousness at the same time as all of these other things that we've mentioned. And you put them all together like a conglomeration, and you end up with like an idea as to maybe begin to imagine understanding the true potency of wood.
I mean, wasn't the Buddha under a tree? What was it? The Bodhi tree?
Bodhi tree. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Tapping into that Bodhi consciousness. Um Oh yeah, what is a Shiva Eye? That's in the title.
Okay, so the Shiva Eye. So Shiva's weapon is the Trishul. Yeah. And the Trishul is it is the will aligning the knowledge, yeah, and the love. So it's the three rays of power, love, and wisdom
Okay.
as a singular weapon. And this Trishul manifests within Shiva in the Ajna chakra as a laser beam. And that laser beam, you can only describe it as truth. And that truth is like, it's potent. Because it wherever that laser beam goes, it gets to the heart of things. And the deceptions melt away. And the Maya melts away. And the actual what that is becomes relevant and easy to perceive. So the Shiva Eye then becomes the powerful manifestation of the will. But the will aligned with the principles of love, power, and wisdom, which is essentially, true knowledge or gnosis. And so the Shiva Eye is the external emanation of gnosis. And but it's an internal process of you could say it is like the subtotal of self-knowledge, if you want to get right down to a practical way of considering it.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like there's a lifetime of of devotion in there to figuring all that out, which is I guess why ashrams exist.
Yeah. And then you've got all these other kinds of so compassion is like one of the most potent spiritual weapons.
Right.
Because the instinct to want to judge is what opens us.
Okay.
Like as a warrior, for example, compassion would be considered if you want to transplant these ideas symbolically into the phase of a warrior in the dance of war, for example. You cannot chew that part of it. You can chew the bottom. Okay, you can chew my moldavite. You can chew the silver, but you can't chew the cotton. And so if one were to imagine, for example, a moment where one is contemplating, yes, you want to go down. Okay, I'm going to put him down. Do not come and bite my toes. He's so cheeky lately. He's growing up. He's becoming a teenager. So if one were to imagine the position of the dance of war, and one wants to transplant these concepts, one would say that compassion in a melee situation is the zazen focus upon you. The zazen focus upon you and all that you're doing and all that you're being. And it's not watching your body language. It's not watching your strikes. It's not watching your behavior. It's not watching your patterns. It's that total composite surrounding you with my consciousness and just sitting on my consciousness. You're wearing my consciousness like a jacket or like a suit. And there's just nothing else. It's just that is the focus of my intense consciousness. And in the center of that suit, there's a central point that holds my attention. And in that, you become one with that person's energy. And so you're no longer observing, oh, so your body language, oh, this is what you're going to do. Okay, you're coming like that. This is what you mean. This is when you catch yourself doing that, you want to go into a state of composure because that is judgment. Oh, judging by your movement there with the front foot, you're probably going to come with that kick. You're judging by that movement. You're preparing for a roundhouse. You're preparing to try and come on my flank. You're preparing to try and get around me. You're preparing, that's judgments. And that will take you so far. But to transcend that, one has to go to zazen. That's compassion. So compassion is that total immersion in what it is without getting caught up in the details of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or not, but just observing all of them at once and being at peace with everything that you're observing. Like what you were talking about earlier, where the spiritual person would be able to become aware of all of the qualities of another human being without being stuck on one or two or judging. I think judgment becomes our enemy in all things, but is absolutely necessary when looking at ourselves.
Yeah, I was gonna. So I'm thinking of this book that I have that's about um a man going to Japan to study archery, Japanese archery. Um as a Zen practice. And I think he was there for 5 years practicing archery. Um and I believe he you know do something for 5 years and you'll probably get better at it. Um I'm not sure if he was at the level of Zen. Maybe he was. But he describes there's a teacher, right? And you can talk to the teacher and, meet with them individually. Um and that he was invited at one point to come by the school at night. And the teacher uh, put on a demonstration for him, which was to put in place one of the targets, out in the wherever they had the targets. Um, and and then there was a candle where the teacher was, like the target's out there in the dark, right? And there's a candle near the teacher, and then the teacher got ready and was like, blow out the candle, and the teacher shot like 3 arrows, and he was like, okay, go look at the target, and sure enough, the teacher had hit perfectly, the target in the pitch black, right?
As one does when it's like pitch dark.
Sure. And so that reminded me of your what you were saying about the compassion, and it's like the judgment on yourself is the years of practice, because it's like I think the teacher was trying to demonstrate that, like, I'm not different from you, right? You can do this too. Like that's what he was trying to say. It wasn't like I'm better than you. It's like, look, this is what's possible. I think is what was uh trying to be transferred there. But it's you have to learn you have to learn how to do the thing through repetition and and guidance. But it's like, that hard work and that dedication eventually, flowers into um this area, this like state of mind where you're not doing all that analyzing or judgment. You're just it's just flow, you know? Like it's just it's a flow of consciousness. Um uh directed by directed by will. And that's just me. I mean, I've experienced very short periods of that. Um I used to throw knives a lot. I've got this big long throwing knife, and after work I would throw it at a piece of wood. And I if I was if I was just like distracted and I was thinking about, my life, and I was throwing the wood, or throwing the knife, and the knife would miss and it would just go dinging off into someone else's yard. But when I had complete focus on my target, and like I've done it enough to where I know what the motion is. Like my body knows what the motion is, so I don't have to like think. I don't have to think. Okay, stand this way, put my hand back, hold the knife this way, and turn and throw and then release at the right time. If I don't have to think about any of that. I'm just like, that's my target. That's what I want to hit. So very laser beam like you were saying, like my focus just became the target, and I would just do the thing, and whoosh, bam, I would hit it. Almost like it was like magic. It's almost like magic, you know, like you're performing. I mean, it is kind of like magic.
It's a kind of magic.
Yeah.
It's a kind of magic. Makes you think of Queen, huh?
Yeah. What's the difference between judgment and discernment? Oh, did he like that one? He's like, I know all about this.
Yeah. What is he saying? Well, he says that judgment is to put oneself above, to know better, right? Discernment is to remove that which is not alive. Whoa, okay. You go down there, all right. So discernment is sort of like judgment is the action of discernment. Discernment is the process that leads to judgment. And judgment itself isn't a bad thing, having good judgment, right? Having good judgment within oneself is not like to have good judgment is to have to throw that knife into the wood, right? You had good judgment, like where to, okay, good judgment. But judgment often becomes a crutch. That's now he's biting my toes again. It's a cheeky little bugger. Judgment becomes a crutch that we hold on to, and this then becomes a problem. Where the discernment, I think, it's about removing, yeah, and to separate ourselves from that which is toxic. Maybe it's a good way of, so to discern is to know, well, this is not good. Let's remove it from the picture. But the judgment and the discernment, the act of judgment is connected to the process of discernment. If that makes sense. Discernment is the whole process. Judgment is one of the parts of it, like a moving part. And so they're sort of inexplicably linked. And I think the discernment is one when we use judgment efficiently, and that judgment has got to be coming from a place of the truth, where we're being really honest with ourselves. Yeah. So we're exercising good judgment. We can't exercise good judgment towards ourselves unless we're really honest, like really honest with ourselves. And that discernment then will become what we mine from this process.
Cool. Well,
yeah.
Should we wrap it up? If you don't have do you have more to say?
Well, yeah, brother. I mean, if you've got more to say, fire it off. I'm going to go in a little while. I'm going to go and say goodbye to my son. I think he's going to go out today somewhere. I have to check and see what his plan is. He was knocking on my door earlier. I had to go and give him a pair of shorts. He left his shorts here. I was like, dude, why you put your shorts in here? Anyway, it's what it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
I gotta
you,
yeah, I gotta get the family up because this morning is dance class. So
of course,
I gotta make sure the little one's fresh and dressed and ready to go.
exciting days. Well, I hope she has a lovely ballet. Is it still ballet that she's doing specifically? Yeah,
No, I don't know.
it's a
It's not
range.
ballet focused. It's just kind of like dance, just bopping around.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
that's all
fun.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, she loves it. She loves it a lot.
Does she dance around the house the rest of the week?
um, she'll do little dances here and there. Yeah. But mostly she's like, I want to wear my dance clothes and I want to go see my girlies. And we're like, you
Right,
gotta
right.
wait till Friday.
Right. Well, dear brother, you enjoy. I hope she enjoys. I hope everybody has an absolutely awesome day. You, your partner,
Thanks,
and
man.
your little sweetheart.
Yeah.
And it's been an honor. Oh, nah. Ouch. That was very sore. Agathan was very, very sore, cheeky little bugger.
Real quick. You just reminded me. Because we're talking about wood, right? And the properties of wood. So how do those beads that you wear, is the function of those beads similar to the properties of wood and keeping them around?
There is a slightly similar, but different
Okay.
thing. Where, okay, so these beads are resin. They're the resin secreted by the wood. So
Okay.
they're one of the qualities of the wood. And these beads are like little batteries. And they store energy. So they can store negative or positive energies, depending on what we load them with. And so it's like a little storage thing, like a whole lot of batteries
Gotcha.
or cells, and that can store and add to our natural field of flow. So there's a similar element, but specifically, negative energy will be absorbed into this, which can then be transmuted and changed into a more useful form of energy.
What are those called?
Rudraksha.
Raksha.
Rudraksha. So Rudra is the oldest.
Raksha.
Yeah, Rudraksha. So Raksha means demons. Rudra is the oldest form of Shiva. And so the oldest form of Shiva, he has all of the demons come to take darshan with him. He's a little talkative little fella today. Hey, do you wanna have a go? Do you wanna go on the mic?
He's like, Dad, I'm bored.
Ah, you wanna talk? Yes. What'd you say? What did you say? You're talking to me. Are you talking to me? No, you're not talking to me. Okay. Yeah, so Rudra is relating to anger. The angry part of the Holy Spirit that is going to ensure that things get righted.
Gotcha.
And that writing is like a powerful part of that Shiva power. And so Rudraksha is the fear of Rudra being put into the Raksha.
Okay.
Because they fear and they worship Shiva. In the form of Rudra, even the Raksha know their place. And they will bow and they will do his will. Because the compassion of Rudra and Shiva is so great that he has absolute compassion even for these beings. His compassion knows no limit, and his self-sacrifice knows no limit. So he has won even their respect and their honor and their devotion. And so they come to Shiva for bhakti. None of the other deity forms will accept them as and Shiva's like, no, you should also be allowed to progress spiritually. You can come and darshan with me, and you can gain from my spiritual essence so that you can also raise yourself up higher and become better. And so many of the Raksha, because of its association with Shiva, turn around and start helping humanity instead of harming them.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Even evil can work towards good.
By
What a
becoming
concept.
less evil.
In the process.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Cool, man. I appreciate that. You're talking about that. All right. I've got to sign off.
Big love, dear brother. You take it easy and have an absolutely awesome day.
Yeah.
You
Thanks
and your
for the
little
talk.
girl. It's been an honor, brother. Thank you.
All right.
Bom
See you
Shiva.
later. Bye, everybody.
Om Namah Shivaya. Shiv Shambho. Take care, brother.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. That was TallTree, dear brother Jeremy. And lovely to have Jeremy on the show. So Agarthan is here. He's got a lot to say today. He's telling me not to forget about beauty. Beauty is a very powerful weapon, and that one should devote oneself to beauty. For beauty is it's a Garthon, by the way, a Garthon. Just to a Garthon. So there's his name for those of you that want to see it. It's a Garthon, and excellence of character and the virtues such as bravery, moral integrity, nobility. So the little dude's carrying quite a name. He carries a big name for such a little dude. Everybody like a Garthon? Like, what kind of a name is that? Yeah, a Garthon. And I don't know, that's the name he told me. And I didn't know what it meant. I had to go and look it up. And then I was like, oh, wow. It's related to bravery and nobility. Wow. Okay, go figure. Like, yes, you're brave and noble. Are you brave and noble? Right? Yes. I'm just going to take 1 second to quickly go and give him some food, put him by his food bowl, but he'll probably fly off and come back. So give me just 5 seconds, maximum 5 seconds. Yes, eat. Yes, eat. Go, eat. Yes, eat. He's such a cheeky little bugger. He doesn't, he wants to come and be by me, but he needs to drink water and he needs to eat. So I put him there, and I put him there. He was really thirsty. He went straight onto his water bowl. So, looking at these spiritual weapons, love is obviously the source of potency from whence compassion derives its vigor. And beauty Beauty is the inspiration. Oh, here he is, back again. You don't want to eat or drink? Come on. Okay. Do you want to come on? Okay. He wants to be here with Daddy. Okay. I had to blank out my camera because the man without pants wasn't scheduled to be on the show today. And when you're doing a podcast, by the way, like, it's much more comfortable if you're not wearing pants. Go figure, you know. Could you imagine sitting in one space in a chair, not moving around for like hours, and then, you know, having to adjust your crotch continually? It just doesn't work for me. So I do most of my podcasts not wearing pants. An important piece of information you all needed to know. That's why I turn off the camera. lest the show gets shut down by YouTube. So yeah, you know, the idea of beauty inspiring the heart, and that the human heart is the source of love, and the love is the power behind compassion. And compassion is the tool that we use to bring unity to that which is deunified or lacking unity. And when I speak of unity, I speak of integrity. Integrity and unity are related. Personal integrity, to integrate all parts of myself into a single. You are such a moody little guy today, hey? Yes, hey? So the bringing together of these different elements into a alchemical proverbial system is what we're talking about when we talk about compassion. And what came up earlier was a story about the AI, and the AI being an entity of sorts. And this entity of the AI being something that is disassociating us. And I think this is what the AI has been designed to do, to disassociate, to bring us apart from ourselves. Josh, I'm going to be there in 5 minutes, okay? I promise. 5 minutes, my boy. I told him I'll be with him in 5 minutes. So this, yes, exactly, Tom. The discord is when the tones of the different strings are not matching and they are not unified. When all of the strings are vibrating in harmony with each other, beauty, harmony, love, compassion, then it creates a chord. And that chord binds everything to itself, to each other. And that chord that binds everything, which is the opposite of discord, is that principle of unification that is the source of integrity. And that personal integrity is a reflection of self-knowledge. And that self-knowledge is the expression of truth, the truth of experience of who I am that I am. And that, what? Did I leave something else? Hey? Did I not say something? I'm going on and on and on. I'm talking about music. You're talking to me. Are you talking to me? So he won't leave my shoulder. He won't eat. Definitely a little character. Yes. He's what it is it's a boy, and boys are very vocal and they're singing. So he's now learning to use his voice. And it's like a rite of passage he's going through. Yes, you can talk and sing for Daddy. Nice. So he's learning to use his voice and learning to speak, and he hears the other birds outside, and he hears those birds over there and those birds, and he's sort of like chit-chatting to everybody. There's birds everywhere. I take him to the other cockatiels. He's like, yeah, okay. But he's interested in all the other birds because there's a lot of bird life here, but in a nature reserve, so there's all sorts of birds. So he's now learning to speak lots of different bird languages. That's how he rolls. He's a little brave little guy. But yeah, so this notion of integrity being the source, and this is really what the Shiva Eye also is an expression of, is the integrated potential of all three aspects of the being, where the love the will and the power and the wisdom are all in a state of harmony, and there's a chord, a singular chord of unity, integrity that is expressed as self-knowledge. It's the most powerful thing that there is, because that is the source of truth. Truth is present when that is in resonance, when that chord is being played. It's the chord of truth, shall we say. Yeah, you know, that discordance, people like discord. People become addicted to discord, a lot of people, sadly. And you can hear it in the music, right? Music like that Disturbia and everything that's come from that after that. That was probably the first big discord thing that was like really a big thing. And, you know, the AI is there to produce this discord in our consciousness. The AI is there to produce this disharmony, this unbound lack of integrity, because we are now giving the AI the ability to make this decision for us, the AI the ability to make this decision for us. And as we give away one piece of information or one piece of the puzzle, we're lacking little bits. And so we're not using our memory, because we'll let AI remember for us. We're not making a decision because AI can make that decision for us. And each thing that AI does for us, it removes a little block of our puzzle. And that little block of the puzzle results in a lack of integrity, because now we're putting it outside of ourselves. And when we put it outside of ourselves, we're not integrous. To be integrous is to be coming from the central point within us, radiating outwards and pulling all points back towards that radiant point within the heart. And so, yeah, you know, all the dissidents that we're seeing within the AI and within people come and make the argument, yeah, but the AI was programmed on people. I'm sorry, this doesn't make sense to me, because the AI was selectively programmed using selected people's very selected bits of information, fed in a very particular and selective way. And that has produced the AI. The AI is not trained on all of us. The AI is trained based upon a beginning point of algorithm. And the beginning points of those algorithms, the baseline of the code that started the process. It's like a ball. If the ball starts rolling down the hill, rolling eastwards, don't expect the ball to suddenly be rolling westward later, because it started from the east, moving eastward. It's probably going to continue moving eastwards. There'll be some adjustments left and right, but it will still have the general direction. So the AI was proportionally driven in a particular way, using very specific training, being trained on very specific information. And so a lot of what the AI was trained on was bots. You see, the AI can't necessarily determine, for example, where was AI trained? Facebook? Yep. Twitter? Yep. What do we know about Twitter? Well, a lot of the accounts were bots. Oh, right. So you're saying that AI was being trained on bots, thinking that it was people? Yes. Interesting. Was it happening on Facebook? Yes. So much of the training that came to AI came through bots, because the AI wasn't necessarily at that point able to distinguish between a bot and a human. So its baseline training was heavily affected by bots. And those bots were trained on other bots. And those bots were trained on particular people that fit the conformity that the authorities, those in power, wanted to singularly move us towards. So on Facebook, the accounts of all of the blind followers, all of the people who don't think for themselves, would have been isolated, and the AI would have been trained on those accounts and those decisions and that kind of communication, so that it starts with a baseline of that. And it was also taught to discriminate against free thinking. So that's why all the bots often will do this. They will attack people that are thinking freely. If you're thinking in the group with everybody else that's been trained to think in a particular way, you're good. The bot will commend you for your great wisdom and, rise you up as like, this is what we want to become like. But if you're a free thinking individual that thinks for yourself and challenges the status quo, you are then challenging the training that the AI has received, which means you're a threat. You're a threat to its very existence. So, the AI is very much a tool. My son is messing with the birds. Joshua Eli, I'm going to be there in 2 minutes, but you do not do that with the birds. And don't talk to me now because I'm still on a live, okay? So I'm coming literally in 2 minutes. I promised you, okay, I'm going to have to go because I did make him a promise. And I got to go and talk to him about the way he was messing with the birds outside. Daddy doesn't like that. Daddy doesn't like that because don't mess with the birds. Anyway, these are just thoughts that were arising in consciousness during the conversation earlier. And I think it's, daddy duty is definitely calling. But sending you all big love and blessings. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you got something out of it. It was fun to be with dear brother Jeremy, with TallTree. And remember, today there's a premiere. It's from now. It's in... to give you a time, it's 6 hours and 20 minutes. 6 hours and 20 minutes. So 6 hours and 20 minutes from now, the premiere will start. I'm going to try and actually watch this premiere with you guys. It's been very weird to I don't know if I'll be able to watch myself on the screen. I haven't really watched myself. But yeah, so it's a series I'm starting. I'm going to be doing a show with a Reiki guy. He's a good guy. He's a really good guy. He's been on the roundtable before. Ian, he's really lovely brother. He's also a blues musician. You got to have respect for the blues musicians, man. It's a very fluid form of music. And so yeah, I'm going to be interviewing different people from different psychic spiritual fields that work in the fields that do different kinds of things, and just to give people an idea. I want to get my girlfriend to come and do a proper set on her. She's very medicinally inspired with the shamanic medicine, as well as she's a kinesiologist, and she spent 3 years studying kinesiology and practicing. So she's very deeply embedded within that, which is like based on Taoist Chinese medicine principles as well. So hopefully I'll get her. So next time you see Hollowbone Hawk, don't forget to say, hey, Hollowbone Hawk, when are you going to do your kinesiology set? If you guys can help me to sway her. She's got a lot to share. It's just she's a bit humble, which is not a bad thing. But so hopefully I'll get to have her on the show too. And I'll be finding other Oh, okay. Daddy's going to give you attention, Nana. Okay, right. He wants daddy's attention. He wants daddy's attention. You want daddy's attention. Everybody wants daddy's attention. Sending you all big love, big blessings. Have an absolutely super fantastic day. Om Namah Shivaya. Bam Shiv Shambho. Har Har Mahadev. Jai Gurudev Alak. Abam Shankar. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bravo. Have an absolutely splendid day and keep the smile alive and fight the good fight out there, people. Life is short.